So after I was diagnosed with bladder cancer 6 years ago, I was like probably a good 4 years into it. And I started getting into making notes and writing things down. And it got so overwhelming, but I created a notebook. And from that notebook, I developed the Cancer Care Book because I believed in it so much. I really wish I had this when I was first diagnosed. And I know it's so helpful. I make less than $1 per sale. So I'm not promoting this book to make money at all. I truly believe it will help anyone who has been newly diagnosed with cancer. So let me show you what's inside. When you open it up, I have a nice little message and you can put your name and information there. I have a nice table of contents. And then each section has like a little section to tell you like what's in that section. So this is the household section. And immediately I have like emergency contact lists so that you can write down. And then I have 12 pages of a monthly planner. So when you're first diagnosed with cancer, you have a lot of appointments and it's just hard to keep track of all the appointments. So you can write them down. You can, pick which month it is and write it out. And also to keep you organized, some cancer patients have to do daily things every day. So here's a daily checklist to write down what you need to do, the time of day, and then like how many days a week you need to do it. And, with chemo, especially the chemo patients, they forget easily. So here's a couple pages for you to write down things not to forget. The one thing I came across is all the doctors that I had to come see all had patient portals. And it was really hard for me to keep track of what website went to where and what the password was and what the link was and all that stuff. So here is a general website password tracker. And sometimes when you're going through cancer, people send you nice little gift packages, care packages, so you can keep track of like what they sent you and who sent it to you. And then later when you feel better, you can write them some thank you notes. So here's another section, financial. This one I really needed. Needed to keep track of all my monthly bills, the due dates, everything. And then I happen to have this system where I keep track of my monthly bills and I get paid weekly. So I could write down the month that the bill was actually due, the credit card or the utility payment or whatever. And then I could also just keep track of when it needed to be paid. So you have several months of that. Some insurances, they require you to get reimbursements. So for your medical expense tracker, you can write down, what you purchased, the date you purchased it, how much, and if it's tax deductible or, so a couple pages of that. Same with mileage log. Sometimes cancer patients have to travel far, and depending on your insurance, you can get reimbursed for your mileage, or you can get reimbursed for your mileage on your taxes. So this is a little mileage log to help you keep track of that. The next section is medical. Here you can put all of your information, health, the pharmacy, all your cancer history, all this information. And then, as earlier I said, when you're first diagnosed, you have to go see all these different doctors and providers. So here's another way for you to keep track of all of those. If you need more details to take notes for your medical providers, you can put your appointments, any notes that you need, questions that you have, so you don't forget. We have several pages of that. And medication trackers. So sometimes you have, medicine to help you, anti-nausea medicine, B12, just different pills that you need to keep track of. And if you need a refill, what time to take them, any notes, and things to avoid. Like, you're not supposed to take one pill and with another pill. So just things to avoid for your medication. And here's the tough stuff. When you're going through cancer, you think of all the bad things. It just happens. It's natural. You just can't help but think about all the bad things that'll happen if you were to not win this battle. So you start creating things like bucket lists. And you might have some small things, and you might have some large things, and big things. And here's just a little space to expand on that. And then another page to, if you have a lot of wish lists. This is the hard one, my final wishes. It's always a good idea to write this stuff down. I don't care, even if you're not in cancer treatment, or if you beat it, or if you never had cancer at all. This is just a good thing to be mindful of, and to let your loved ones know what your final wishes are. Here's the best part, though. This is self-care section. Lots of fun stuff. So, you feel horrible when you're going through cancer, especially chemo treatments and surgeries. So here's a fun little challenge. It says 30-day challenge, but you can just stretch that out. But, check off some of these things. Then you have a self-care planner. So what can you do to make yourself feel better? And these are just little things to help you. And then you, of course, think of gratitude, what you're thankful for. So you just write down everything that you're so grateful for. And then you have the Wheel of Life. This is a handy tool to help you look at each part of your life and how fulfilled you are in there, or when you fill this out, you can see the parts that you're lacking in your life, or where you struggle and need a little bit of help to focus on it. I just knew this needed to be in this book. So, you start to think of, like, when you do beat this, you have some life goals and things you need to do to accomplish that. And then here's just some friendly reminders, what you can control and what you can't control. And then, of course, I have when you just need to write it out, several pages, journal pages. And then if you're an artist, I have several pages of when you just need to draw it out. So you can sketch, doodle when you're getting your chemo treatments, whatever. And then, of course, some coloring pages. And finally, I'm running out of time, some beautiful stickers that you can cut out and paste or tape. And that's it. That's my book. And I hope it helps. Love you.